Good evening, you're watching State of Business on our television. This is Zenat Musafir. Let's first take a look at the headlines. Sri Lanka's laws regarding drug trafficking needs reconsideration, states Shanaka Jayasekara. Government to vest several development projects in the Maharagama area. News in details. Program Coordinator of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime Control for the South Asian region, Shanaka Jayasekara, says that international networks refrain from sharing their intelligence service in drug trafficking as Sri Lanka executes death penalty for drug-related offences. In an exclusive interview with our television, Jayasekara expressed the following views in this regard.
Sri Lanka has the death penalty for drug trafficking offences. And as a result, states that have good intelligence on international networks engaged in drug trafficking are not in a position to share intelligence with Sri Lanka because it can lead to a death sentence, which is not acceptable to some of those countries. So in some sense, the death penalty for drug trafficking is counterproductive because information sharing, intelligence sharing is hampered by it. So I would call on the government of Sri Lanka to reconsider the death penalty for drug trafficking because it is actually impeding on intelligence sharing in the region, especially intelligence to be received by Sri Lankan drug enforcement agencies. While there should be strong penalties for drug trafficking, I think we need to move away from the need for a death penalty for drug trafficking. This has caused a lot of problems in terms of intelligence sharing. And as I said, there was suspected reports of a vessel with close to 400 kilos of heroin heading towards the Sri Lankan waters. But many of the international governments that had that intelligence was unable to share that with Sri Lanka because of this issue of the death penalty in Sri Lanka. So yes, there are impediments and constraints in intelligence sharing, and volumes have increased, and Sri Lanka needs to take stock of how it deals with this whole issue of Sri Lanka becoming a transit hub for heroin trafficking in the region.
Speaking further, Shanaka Jayasekara elaborated on the prevention of drug addiction and drug supply.
Law enforcement has a major role to play. Drug addiction alone, drug addiction by itself is not countered by enforcement capabilities. Drug addiction has two dimensions. You have the supply side and you have the demand side. So what enforcement does is it counters the supply side, the supply of drugs into a country. However, as you know, demand and supply dictates how supply arrives. So as long as you have high demand, you'll always find suppliers getting the drugs into the country. So you have to also address the demand side. In that you have to create awareness among school children, among the youth, amongst the population of the effects of drug addiction and prevent the demand for drugs. It's a balance between preventing the supply, combating the supply side through law enforcement and through awareness campaigns and treatment mechanisms to bring down the demand. So it's only when supply side and demand side have been brought down that you have an improvement in terms of your drug situation in the country.
We're going in for a short break. Do stay tuned for more news after these commercials. Welcome back. During a press conference in Colombo last evening, Minister of Megapolis and Western Development Patali Champika Ranawaka disclosed several development projects that are underway in the Maharagama area.
මේ ස්ථානයේ අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා බස් නැවතුමක් සහ වාණිජ සංකීර්ණයක් කිටි කරන්න. ඒ සඳහා අපි දැන් බස් නැවතුමට අපි දැන් ඒ කටයුතු සිදු කරගෙන යනවා. අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා ලබන වසර මුලදී ඒ බස් නැවතුම මෙතන විවෘත කළා. දැනට මහරගම නගරයේ ඒ බෝගහාසල තියෙන ඒ බස් සේවාවන් කෙටිකාලීන කෙටිදුර බස් සේවාවන් මේ ස්ථානයට ගෙන එන්න. එතකොට අපි හිතන්නේ කිසියම් දුරකට ඒ තදබදේ පාලනය වීමක් සිද්ධ වෙයි කියලා.
Speaking further, Minister Ranawaka expressed his concerns over delays in case hearings, referring to it as a national issue, which requires prompt action.
අපේ රටේ තියෙන මේ අධිකරණ ක්‍රමයේ තියෙන නඩු පමාවේයි කියන මහා විස ව්‍යාධිය මේක ඇත්තටම අපේ රටේ සමාජයට වැළඳිලා තියෙන පිළිකාවක්. ගිය දශකයේ පුරාම මතුවලා තියෙන තත්ත්වයක්. ඉතින් මේක විසඳන්න මේ පොලිසිය විතරක් කාර්යක්ෂම වෙලා බෑ. අපේ අධිකරණ විය තාම වේගෙන් කාර්යක්ෂම විය යුතුයි. ආණ්ඩුවලට විතරක් දොස් කියලා බෑ. අධිකරණය කාර්යක්ෂම විය යුතුයි, අපක්ෂපාතී විය යුතුයි. බලවතුන්ට, තෙදවතුන්ට එක විදිහකටත් අනික් මිනිසුන්ට තව විදිහකටත් ක්‍රියාත්මක නොවිය යුතුයි. ඒ වගේම නඩු පමාවකින් තොරව විසඳිය යුතුයි.
Now let's take a look at few stories in brief. The International Monetary Fund has published a working paper on an open economy quarterly projection model for Sri Lanka, which documents a semi-structural model developed for Sri Lanka. According to the authors, this model, extended with a fiscal sector block, is expected to serve as a core forecasting model in the process of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka's move towards flexible inflation targeting. The model includes a forward-looking endogenous interest rate and foreign exchange rate policy rules, allowing for flexible change in policy behavior. It is a gap model that allows for simultaneous identification of business cycle position and long-term equilibrium. Diesel and Motor Engineering PLC, together with students from the Mechanical Engineering Department of the University of Moratuwa, unveiled the DI Mora P2, a race car built by university students to participate in the world's biggest student motorsport competition, Formula Student 2018. Organized by the Institute of Mechanical Engineers, Formula Student 2018 is Europe's most established motorsport competition backed by the industry and high-profile engineers. The event will be held from the 11th to the 15th of July 2018 in the United Kingdom and is expected to feature over 3,000 students, 5,000 attendees, 250 industry professionals and over 90 universities from 26 countries. We're going in for a short break. Do stay tuned to see how the stocks perform today after these commercials. Welcome back. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today.
The All Share Price Index dropped 32.08 points to close at 6,188.05 and the S&P SR20 dropped 23.17 points to close at 3,397.89. The turnover was 541 million rupees and 14.7 million shares were traded.
Next is Forex Rates. That's all the news we have for you today. Join us tomorrow with State of Business on our television at the same time. Until then, take care and good night.